think partnership marketing is really strong in this area. Aligning with your business partners. What are the business KPIs they care about? What are the products they care about? The levers on your end to reflect those business priorities. It's just a way to earn a lot of trust.
Welcome back to the Partnership Economy podcast. Today, I'm joined by Seth Hagerty, Senior Director of Performance Marketing at Best Buy. Seth, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on your podcast today. This space is evolving really fast, a lot of opportunity in it, and I appreciate the time to speak to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to digging in. I mean, Best Buy is just one of those iconic brands. You've had an incredible run in your journey, so really looking forward to unpacking that with you. So to that end, you've built your career inside of digital marketing environments, search, affiliate, and now kind of the broader performance marketing stack, essentially. Could you maybe just kick us off by sharing a little bit about your path into performance marketing? What drew you specifically into partnerships as well?
My path is a little nonlinear. So graduated college and then went into the Marine Corps for 8 years. And then while I was in the military, my dad is an entrepreneur. My brother's a software developer. So they had started this database marketing company. And then this database marketing company got asked to do an organic search project back in like 2002. And that grew into my brother and my dad developed proprietary bidding software for paid search in the early 2000s. They developed a methodology to score the organic search results that you see in Google, Yahoo, MSN, and then create a score and then provide recommendations to clients. So when I left the military, joined that company with them, started working business development, and then I got more into account executive, managing accounts, more hands-on keys type work. I really enjoyed the direct response aspect of it. And that was relatively new back then. The thought of somebody investing marketing dollars and then having a visible outcome, essentially real time, was something that was new, especially when you were talking to folks that were familiar with linear TV or newspaper. It was very groundbreaking at the time. I actually see a lot of similarities with what's happening now with the LLMs and AI search. It's a lot of the same themes we were tackling back in 2007, 2008. So started in search, and then I started expanding out of that into partnerships. I like the roots in direct response. You can make an investment and you can see a tangible outcome. I like the way that the investment's nonlinear. Paid search, as you scale, you're going to have to invest more and more. There's more of that network effect and ecosystem building with our partnerships that I really like, and feeding into that, and how do we grow it and then nurture it and align it with our business has been a really fun journey for me.
That's awesome. I feel like in some ways you and I are kindred spirits. I feel like we've followed maybe a similar path. When did you first start to see signals that partnerships could become this compounding growth lever rather than just a tactical add-on?
I think product discovery has such a strong tie-in with search. That was always my mindset, was like, hey, if somebody wants to learn about a product, their first stop is going to be a search engine. They're going to do a search. They're going to learn about it. They're going to click into that content. I started learning about the different content partners and content sites that are out there, the review sites and the power of a third-party review, how that influences a customer's journey. I think creator content is and will continue to be this growing, authentic, influential channel in the consumer journey. But like product discovery is essentially occurring within that context. Our customers have a relationship with their financial institutions. These financial institutions, they have specific promotions. They have relationships to retailers. A lot of times we'll see that activity as beneficial to our consumer journey. And then finally, deal and loyalty sites. That would be another place that I would see product discovery happening outside of search. So people have these relationships with these loyalty sites. They're accumulating points or It's a trusted way for them to learn about new products or learn about different sale events and promotional periods. And we want to leverage that not just as a tactic that's like a bolt on to a sale event, but as this evergreen growth lever that's bringing in new customers or it's contributing positively to a consumer's entire journey.
Tell me if you agree. Like, was there a point in time in your experience where you started to see kind of the community sort of take over? I had to imagine like YouTube played a big role in this, obviously the social platforms right now, but there's been a real community unlock. I think that has kind of opened up this partnership marketing channel to where we define it as where somebody else is advocating for the brand. It's not the brand doing the talking about themselves. It's like somebody else is doing the talking. So first of all, two questions in there. Would you agree with that perspective and point of view on what partnership marketing is really about? And then second, was there a point in time in your professional journey to where you saw that inflection point where brands trying to relate to the voices within the community became, more important, equally important than, some of the other types of like one-way broadcast sort of communication, advertising, let's call it.
This is how I think of it is, and this will speak to your first point. I think of it's this mind shift from control to influence, and it's allowing to let go of some of that control, and you're going to have to rely on these partners and they're trusted partners, but they're going to be the ones that are going to have to represent your story and represent your value proposition and represent your version of product discovery. I see that as a good thing, though, is like us letting go of some of that control, broadening this network, tapping into the power of something like creators to enable them to tell our story on our behalf. Media is incredibly fragmented today. There's a lot of very niche audiences that exist. How do you reach those niche audiences at scale is really like the core of a lot of marketing these days, and to come across in this authentic way. So I think partnership marketing fits perfectly into that kind of model.
Especially coming from, your experience at a major brand like Best Buy. Like, I think that's a huge takeaway for this audience, that brands need to be okay with somebody else driving the car, right? You might be tempted to grab the wheel, but, kind of like let them drive, let them engage with their audience in their way, invest in, the partnership, where they're kind of understanding your brand, getting behind it in the right way, but still staying true to their authentic voice with their audience. What would you say most companies get wrong, honestly, about partnerships especially when they're first getting into the space?
So this has been a big mind shift for me too, because search, you can enable, pause, increase budget, decrease budget, shift focus very fast. It's a network that builds on itself. And the power of the network is you investing in it and thinking of it as a relationship, and curating that relationship and caring about it and continuing to nurture it. It's not just this one and done, like, hey, we have a big sale event and we're going to do this activation. It's evergreen, it's ongoing, and then it's a two-way street too. I love getting feedback from our partners, especially our creator partners, about how we can work more closely together. It's easy to come into a channel like this and think of it as kind of a one and done, or it'll just show up in a specific time like holiday, rather than thinking of it this evergreen, positively contributing to the consumer journey type channel.
Measurement obviously is a hot topic with most marketing organizations, just a very high level conversation because we don't have time to really unpack it, but just curious. I know a lot of our audience would be curious to understand like just how you think about measurement, generally speaking. How are you measuring the effectiveness of your marketing dollars?
I like to start with leading KPIs, and these are always going to be imperfect. And leading KPIs could be the numbers you're seeing real time, day to day basis. Uh, we also would receive modeled type outcomes, but there's usually a pretty significant uh, delay in you receiving those numbers. I'm going to do my best to make decisions off those leading KPI indicators and then go back and review in the modeled outcomes if those decisions were correct. And if they weren't, we'll shift course on them. A lot of times retail is hour to hour type performance that you're measuring and you're looking at. So those leading KPI indicators are really important. Great thing about Impact is my team can log in there. We can see that performance. We have a lot of different dimensions that we can dive into. So I mean, not only just like return on ad spend like a typical leading KPI, but also we have new customer acquisition type metrics in there. So those are the things the team would look at on a more day-to-day basis, and then like quarterly, monthly, look at more of the modeled outcomes.
And is it right to assume that your measurement system, let's call it, is a holistic view, like, all of your channels, the interplay between them?
I really appreciate this about Best Buy, and I believe this is how we come to life for our customers too, and we do it in a way that's a huge value to our customers. But whether you shop on our website, in our app, or in the store, it's this cohesive experience. And on my end, I'm designing channel activations to help align our customers to that outcome.
Best Buy is a brand. You've got so many services, like you mentioned, right? Whether people are shopping online in the store, through partners, having a holistic view and stitching that together, like tracking those conversion events across different services like that, being able to tie it in to kind of understand the ROI that your different marketing investments are driving.
If I had to give a piece of advice on measurement, though, I would tell people understand last click modeled revenue outcomes, and then if you have access to multi-touch attribution, I would just think of it holistically. Think about the audience you're speaking to, which data points you bring in, and then I cannot emphasize this enough. And I think partnership marketing is really strong in this area. Aligning with your business partners. What are the business KPIs they care about? What are the products they care about? Like really lining up the levers on your end to reflect those business priorities. It's just a way to earn a lot of trust internally.
And I'd love at the beginning you talking about the early days, because I just got nostalgic when you were just talking about that just for a minute. Like if we rewound the early internet days, discovery was dominated by Google and search. But as you mentioned, and we're all aware of that today, we're entering into this world where AI is playing a central role in how consumers are researching and making decisions. How would you describe this transition for you at Best Buy, and how you're looking at that?
So now the LLMs, creators, different platforms, different social networks, they're all contributing to this journey in millions and millions of different permutations. I'll get these path to conversion reports, and it'll be paid search, display, YouTube, paid social, paid search, all in one journey before they made the purchase. And that's just the data that I can see. Like there's other underlying activity that occurred there. There's other media that they were exposed to. It's this very complicated journey. It's only to get more complex. I see AI as being critical in helping us reach consumers where they're at. I see that as this like evergreen mission that would still be in place, whether it's 2000 or it's 2026.
I think the biggest trend that we're tracking with AI and how consumers are using it is that what is most interesting is that what the LLMs are relying on as like sources for the answers that they're giving is largely, the affiliate and partner style content that's being produced, right? The fact that somebody did a review or, did some sort of write up or comparison, that's what's driving the answers in this AI driven discovery environment. Where do you think this partnership model becomes essential rather than optional, if you assume that that's true?
So I'm going to call it third-party citations, and those third-party citations can be anybody in this partnership ecosystem. So it could be creators, it could be review sites, it could be content sites. And if you start to deconstruct the sources that these LLMs are referencing, like you said, a huge part of their sourcing is coming from these third-party sites. So I think it's even more critical than it was 2, 3, 4 years ago to be actively participating in these partnership ecosystems. Our customers are seeing that data, they're seeing that information, and then they're making their choices. I'm sure you've heard the phrase zero click searches. So they're ingesting this information. Maybe they're not clicking directly on it, but it is influencing their journey. It is influencing whether they purchase a product at a specific retailer at a specific moment. So I do think it's important to be there. We're probably going to have to evolve how we think about it, though.
Yeah, yeah, those are the additional signals that I'm talking about that would complement any direct path, any direct click or link that's used. Being able to interpret signals on how content is showing up and influencing the answers. That's certainly something that us at impact.com are working on. Maybe switching gears to talking a little bit more tactically. When you think about like scaling a program, I remember, discussing this with you when you and I first met. You mentioned a little bit about the hardest battle isn't really external; it's a little bit more internal. Like, what kind of objections do you typically face from, call it finance, just leadership in general, media teams internally at Best Buy? And how do you overcome them?
You could say it's about any form of media, really, but so the first objections always around incrementality for a specific media activation or marketing channel. So demonstrating incrementality is always going to be something that marketers are going to have to center themselves on and to tackle. I would say taking that head on and not being afraid to test the channel and to work closely with your decision science team and your finance partners to set up tests that give confidence to those adjacent partners that the investment is incremental to the business. That's always my recommendation. I never, and if you do the test and it doesn't work out how you want it to work out, the great thing about partnerships is it's this huge ecosystem. It's ever evolving. Just don't be afraid to challenge yourself. And then the second piece, I really want to stress this. If you set up your partnership ecosystem to be a reflection of the business priorities and have that alignment with your business partners, and I'm talking assortment priorities, new products, sale events, evergreen type strategies and priorities that would exist across the business.
Excellent. Excellent. I just wanted to shift gears a little bit here and focus on Best Buy, as a powerful example of a company that's managed to evolve with their customers. Earlier, I mentioned them being an iconic brand. And I remember back in the 90s when the internet was coming online, you and I both lived through that, Seth. It's like, a lot of people were saying, the big box stores are going to go out of business, during the dot-com boom and then the bust, the whole rise of e-commerce. Now we've got AI-driven discovery. Just really curious how such an established brand like Best Buy has navigated these massive shifts and somehow has managed to stay relevant. Any takeaways, any observations on your part on how the brand has successfully navigated that?
I would say at a high level, there's always this constant is bringing tech to life and showing our customers what it can do for them. And the context can be in an e-commerce setting, or it can be in an in-store setting, or in our app. We've always been extremely close to the customer and adapting to how they shop. And I'll just give you an example. We were pandemic hit. We were one of the first ones, if not the first one, to have curbside pickup. And I was involved in that. And it was this huge mind shift to operationally stand that up, message it to customers. It was a needed adjustment and across our entire store footprint and fulfillment and marketing. We were able to adapt quickly and do that. But at the end of the day, it's just continuing our focus of meeting the customer where they're at, adapting. Really, it's doing it across all our surfaces. So our web, the app, and the stores is how we think of it.
I think it's a great example of, during the pandemic, just how a brand like Best Buy can recognize that and really, come up with something like that to provide a much better consumer experience to kind of get through such a very difficult time. What's going on now is just incredible because consumer behavior has changed so much, right? It used to be that a customer's primary point of contact with a brand was an in-store associate. Now, many consumers, in a lot of cases, have already made up their decision before they even walk into the store. Or they buy online entirely. How has that, just to pull that thread a little bit more, how has that dynamic itself kind of changed the role of partnership specifically at Best Buy?
Dave, you hit the nail on the head, and I'll just reiterate, like that's a customer segment we know and has enormous value to us. So they've done the research on their end. They've been to the review sites, they've been to the OEM site, they've done comparisons on the products themselves. They know in a detailed way that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago what they want and the value from that product they're going to get. I see partnerships contributing to that whole customer research and customer discovery phase further up the funnel than I think people would traditionally think of as like affiliate marketing. So they're intersecting with the customer when they're more in that consideration phase and they're doing research. And then all of this is simultaneously happening in the background of LLMs, which can produce a very detailed comparison, side by side comparison of products. So the partnerships are sitting side by side, this kind of detailed content and output from the LLMs at the same time. And then people are walking into the stores or logging into our app or shopping online with a lot more knowledge than in having made that decision prior to even interacting with us.
And one thing I'm observing is the way that you talk about kind of an affiliate strategy versus a creator strategy. Could you tease that out a little bit? Explain the differences in those strategies if they are essentially, different or slightly different strategies, but then also how they work together.
Big picture, we always want to meet our customers where they're at in their customer journey. The affiliate model is inherently more conversion oriented. I think that creator model is perfect for influence and discovery, maybe a few steps up that ladder in the marketing funnel. They're shaping opinions earlier in the journey. They're contributing to a customer's perspective on the products they want to purchase. I see them working in tandem together, and I like to think of them both as important and valued partners as with it relative to our customers' journey.
That's another thing I'll call out is different about partnership marketing versus like standard advertising. This isn't a standard ad unit that we're just paying a standard price for and sticking it in a slot. There is some nuance to the partnership as you're talking about. So it's important to have the flexibility to how you craft the commercials and kind of like what the work that's being done essentially. So yeah, definitely an important call out, I think, about what makes partnership marketing unique. Maybe just one last question about creators specifically, because I think, from where I sit, a lot of brands talk about creators, but very few of them are operationalizing it very well. What do you think Best Buy does differently, specifically in working with creators?
I would say two things. So, no, number one, I myself, the organization, we understand what a valuable channel creators are for our customers, and it's only going to grow. The customers today and future customers are going to have these one-to-one relationships with creators that they trust and that they view as authentic, and their opinion matters to them. And it's a way that we can broaden our reach in an authentic way and reach audiences that maybe are a little more difficult to reach with a traditional channel like something like linear TV. We stood up our Creator Storefront program last year. Creators are receiving compensation from within our retail media model. Integrating creators into our retail media business is another huge unlock.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about with the creator store and storefront, we call it internally the creator edit, right? The capability on our platform to have creators kind of build their curated list of products at Best Buy. So it's the creator's own little store essentially sitting inside of Best Buy. So if they're doing a review, let's say on how to design a home theater system within your home, and they're taking people through content about how to do that and to point them to their own little store inside of Best Buy, I think is incredibly cool, very relevant. And it gives that creator an opportunity to earn essentially on any of those products, not just an individual link out, but, kind of a full selection, of products that they're recommending.
We launched our marketplace last year, so our assortment dramatically increased. Lots of new categories. I just think it's like another great way for creators to partner with us is on our marketplace, on our retail media, on our enterprise business, like multiple ways to partner with us, and all of them have unique audiences and like you said, the store. I'm calling it storefront, but the storefront would be great to create this like curated, unique experience that could expose to their audience.
Good segue to, towards the end of this conversation, just looking ahead, always love to ask, what do you think are some of the next major trends that you're seeing in partnerships, in digital marketing in general?
I'm gonna call it a convergence of channels, and a lot of this is gonna be related to AI, but like what we think of as performance marketing, media channels, partnerships, retail media, like those lines will be blurring. Um, so I think the strategies in that'll win in these types of trends is treating this more holistically and integrating them into this larger ecosystem and partnerships are a huge focus now, and I think that's only going to grow, but I see that as is this glue that holds this whole ecosystem together. I think AI is going to create that convergence of these channels and media and revenue outcomes and business outcomes. I just think 5 years from now, if we look back, it won't be like these distinct channels like we think of them today.
I do see retail media as being a hot trend in your category right now. Just curious as to how you think about and describe what retail media is, what the opportunity is. With Best Buy, I see it as a bit of an unlock to where you can be a publisher of sort, not just a brand. It helps you appeal, I think, to manufacturing brands. Those that are selling their products inside of Best Buy. How do you think about retail media so that we can kind of get past just the bucket or the label that people put on it?
Yeah, so I think partnership marketing and then especially creators, it's this authentic incremental channel. It benefits our customers' product discovery and then also our retail media partners. So like the vendor partners that would sell their products through Best Buy, it's a huge benefit for them to tap into this network that we've created. When I first started working in the channel, I was struck the granularity of the reporting, the performance outcomes, the ability to reach a new audience. Like all of those are perfect fits for retail media. Like that's the type of performance our vendor partners want to see and understand. And I just think there was this really strong link just waiting there for us to take advantage of. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in this space.
Excellent, excellent. All right, finally, as we wrap up this episode, just wanted to ask one last question. What would you say to brands that are hesitant to invest meaningfully in partnerships right now?
So I would say partnerships is going to be this foundational element to like your what you think of as your marketing mix today, and it's not going to be this bolt-on channel. um, Even if you're giving up a little bit of control, I think you'd be doing that anyway with just how AI is evolving. So I would just encourage them, lean in. You're going to make mistakes, that's totally okay. Get your adjacent partners aligned internally, accept that you don't know everything, but that you're working in the best interest of the company or your specific business. And this is the future, and you're going to look back and regret it if you didn't build it out.
Seth, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Really appreciate you taking time to kind of go through it with us. I learned a lot. I know our audience learned a lot. But just want to thank you so much for joining the pod today.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity, Dave, and it was fun chatting with you on this.